Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks for Saturday, February 29th, 2020. It's a special bonus day of the year, and we have got a lot to cover on today's show. So without any further ado, let's take a look at today's housekeeping notes. First of all, a reminder on Wednesday. This Wednesday, March the 4th, 8 p.m. Central Time, that's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 7 p.m. in the Mountain Time Zones, and 6 p.m. out west and in Las Vegas. You'll want to tune in for our second ever live stream. There are a couple of pretty big announcements that I'm going to make on the show that I think many of you will be interested in hearing, so make sure to tune in for that. If you can't make it on the live stream, you can always watch the replay. I'll try to cover the main points that I want to cover in the first 10 or 15 minutes, so you don't have to wade through an hour or two of banter. But if you want to drop in and talk about Vegas and upcoming trips to Las Vegas or some experiences you've had, we certainly welcome you aboard. We're also happy to welcome aboard almost 700 new followers on Twitter this week, and I have to give credit to one of my favorite Twitter accounts and a great source of Vegas news and rumor that often becomes news. Vital Vegas retweeted one of my tweets on Sunday morning, and like 24 hours later I had 600 more followers. So some of them may have made it here. If so, thank you for joining us. I hope you'll get some good information from this show. So if you're not following us on Twitter, it's a lot of just fun little tidbits. So it's a great place to interact and talk about Vegas as well. Speaking about social media though, the real highlight of the week for a lot of us was the Facebook group, which I started almost 3 years ago. Said mostly just some family and friends, and we've gone from a handful of people to a handful of people. Friday morning we hit 10,000 members, so for those of you who are a part of the Facebook group, thank you for making that possible. It is a kind of a part-time job just keeping up with the member requests and the sort of housekeeping details that have to be dealt with there. So I wanted to quickly give an acknowledgement to all the moderators that have helped out on the show. Andy was the very first person who stepped on board to help moderate the channel. Kevin, and later his better half Jennifer, who may be the hardest working of our moderators. Sometimes Andy and I used to just go to sleep for 2 days and nothing happened, so they did a great job, continue to do a great job. Colin from over in the British Isles, our first overseas contributor, helps us out a lot overnight with requests. Mark, you know Mark, Pennies for Vegas. He's a moderator. He mostly keeps the break room clean, keeps the coffee going, but we appreciate having him on board as well. Kathy, Crystal, Tyler, Ryan, Kathy, Crystal, Tyler, Ryan, Paul. Am I missing somebody? I hope I'm not missing anybody. I don't think I am, because I think we got through them. Oh, Tamara! I even pronounced her name correctly. So, and a lot of these folks have their own YouTube channels, have a lot going on, and so we appreciate them taking a few minutes, or sometimes more than a few minutes, out of their day to help make the group run more smoothly. So check us out if you haven't. It's a hit or miss operation. Sometimes we make mistakes. Isn't always perfect, but we're trying to build it into a resource, and hopefully one of the better Vegas resources on Facebook. So thanks again for that. We'll talk about a little bit more about that on Wednesday as well. But I always say when it comes to watching this program that it's always better to have a cocktail or two in hand. And you know what that means. That means it's time to go to our friend PJ with the cocktail of the week.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Cocktail of the Week with your host, PJ. Now, let's watch PJ put together another fabulous cocktail. Hey John, thanks for that fantastic introduction. That is fabulous. Man, we got to take this show on the road. You're getting pretty good at this. Hey, well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cocktail of the Week. This week's cocktail, we're going to make an Agent Orange Martini. But we can't make an Agent Orange Martini until we get into the proper attire. All right, we'll be right back and make that Agent Orange Martini. All righty, we're back. Let's get started. This is going to be fabulous, ladies and gentlemen. All right, first we're going to do is 1.5 ounces of vodka. Now, if you like gin in your martinis, you can substitute for gin if you like, but I like vodka. And we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of orange juice. 3/4 ounce of Grand Marnier. Okay, I do have a very tall martini glass, so obviously that is not enough liquid to fill that glass up, but it's going to work. All right, now we're going to shake. We're going to shake. Actually, I guess I should do this in secret, shouldn't I? All right, that should be good enough. Ah, man, you can smell all those flavors. Here we go. Need some spy music, I guess, huh? Alrighty, and pop a little orange in there. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back to taste another fabulous drink by PJ on Cocktail of the Week. Hang tight, everybody. We'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back. A little housekeeping there. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, how does this puppy taste? You tell me. I'm telling you, I should quit my day job. I'm getting pretty good at this. John, back to you, buddy, with more Vegas tips and tricks. Salute.
All right, thanks again, PJ, for that another great episode of Cocktail of the Week. Did want to remind you that, well, not remind you, wanted to let you know that 3 weeks from today, that'll be March 21st, we're going to have a special guest mixologist on Cocktail of the Week. And I think if I told you who it was, you would recognize the name. Gentleman was nice enough to reach out to me, so we're putting something together. PJ has graciously agreed to step aside for 1 week and give his liver a break. And so definitely check that out. 3 weeks from today, we'll have a special mixologist. Sorry that apparently PJ has run out of robes. I know that was a very popular feature of his program. Perhaps if you're nice to him, he'll send you a photograph or a video of him in a robe. Okay, enough fun stuff. Now it's time for some hard-hitting Vegas news. There's a lot of things we could have talked about in Vegas this week, but I wanted to talk about something that allows me to kind of do a little news/commentary. And it's on the surface of it, kind of a small thing. Just another, what do you want to call it? Another little bit of digging and nickel and diming. Caesars Entertainment announced this week they would be raising the resort fee from $35 to $37 at 4 of their more budget-oriented Vegas Strip properties. That would be Harrah's, Link, Flamingo, and Ballys. I've stayed at all these properties. They're very nice budget properties. They're not quite as budget as they may appear because once you tack on that $40-some resort fee and taxes, what can sometimes be a cheap or free room becomes somewhat more expensive. I've talked about resort fees and Vegas fees in the past, and I've been somewhat dismissive of them. You have to sort of take into account all the kinds of costs that you incur and put them all together. But there's a couple of things about this that kind of irritate me, so I thought I would share them. And one of them, I think, could have a great deal of impact on Las Vegas in the future. So hopefully you'll bear with me for a few minutes. One thing that I think a lot of people just drives you nuts about the term resort fee is that they apply to places that don't feel very much like resorts. I know if I'm spending a night at Caesar's Palace or Aria or Cosmopolitan and I see a line on my bill that says resort fee $50, I'm like, well, this is a really nice resort. I guess, that's okay. But if I'm paying, I don't think I should be paying a $40 resort fee at Excalibur or Flamingo. And that's no slight against those properties. They have a different demographic, and you're not paying nearly as much to stay there. But it just doesn't feel right that they're almost the same. And that was one of the reasons that Caesars gave for this increase. We want to get our other properties in line. We want to have the same resort fee. Well, you shouldn't have the same resort fee. And I think about Golden Gate downtown. I like that property. I have a good time gambling there. Stayed there a couple of times. Fun place. Good casino, good drink service, but they have a resort fee, okay? They don't have a pool. They don't have a restaurant. The rooms are, a little bit bigger than a broom closet, nicely appointed. I mean, they're doing the best with what they have, but they're small rooms and there's not really amenities on site. There's a vending machine. Why am I paying a resort fee at a place that clearly is not a resort? So that's one sort of dig I have on this whole raising these resort fees. They're not proportional. The resort fee at Golden Gate should be $5. Okay, the resort fee at Harrah's should be $20. If you want to charge me $40 or $50 at Bellagio, okay. The second thing about it is, I think these kinds of fees really are going to impact Las Vegas in the long run. Yeah, I mean, there are Vegas veterans, as I call them, like myself, who, because of all the fees and because of the fact that the gambling odds continue to get worse and worse, have cut back on their number of trips to Las Vegas. Maybe they used to go 3 times a year, now they go once or twice. Maybe they used to go every year, and now it's every few years. A lot of these folks just enjoyed going and gambling, and they would gamble pretty hard for a few days. And they got their room, they got their food, beverage, paid for. It was just a break from life, and it's harder and harder to find a place where you can get that kind of a deal anymore. Some of them have migrated to local properties, and some have just chosen to do things other than go to casinos. But I don't think the real impact long-term on Las Vegas is the visitors, the repeat visitors in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. A lot of the people that I come across on a daily basis who are big Vegas fans, a big part of what keeps Vegas running on a weekly basis are those repeat visitors, along of course with the convention traffic and major events. But Vegas lives on those people that come back. And I wonder how many of the first time in a long time visitors are going to be in a great rush to come back. Maybe they're headed out for their cousin's bachelor party, or they have to attend a convention. And they're just looking for a cheap place. They heard of the Flamingo. Their uncle said it was really cool when he stayed there back in the 80s. So they decide they're going to book that. It looks like a good rate. But then, of course, they notice there's this resort fee. And then they decide to rent a car, and they find out there's a parking fee. They get up in the morning, they want to get some coffee. Well, they can't get it in their room. They have to go downstairs and pay $5 for a cup of coffee. They think, I'll hit up the breakfast buffet. That'll be great and cheap, and it's $25. And it's just generic food. They go to gamble. They put $20, $50, $100 in a machine. It's gone in 10 minutes. A lot of the reason that we like to play various casinos in Las Vegas is because we've had some luck there in the past. Sure, some places are nicer than others. Some places have great drink service or games we like to play. But if we've been successful, we keep going back because we think we're going to win again. And we end up losing more than we would have otherwise at any other properties because we're just too dumb to realize that it was just lightning, out of the blue. It wasn't some trend. But if you don't give people that experience of winning once in a while, if they don't get the experience of being able to set and play for a while, they're going to quickly decide that there's better ways to spend their money than gambling. And you already see that, in younger visitors to Las Vegas. And Vegas, to their credit, has tried to appeal to some of these younger visitors with, gimmicks, with the nightclub scene, which, has been very popular, different sort of trendy bars and restaurants, different sort of interactive gambling experiences. They've experimented with esports with, sort of limited success. But the thing is, you're not going to get people to Las Vegas in the first place to take advantage of those things if they feel ripped off when they come the first time. And whether Las Vegas is, and it is, by the way, a better budget destination than almost every other major vacation destination in the United States, which also has a lot of fees, it doesn't matter if the perception they get from their time in Las Vegas is that it's a ripoff, is that everywhere you turn, someone wants money, and it isn't that great an experience. And you know what? I wouldn't mind going back, but I'm going to go someplace else. I don't need, I don't care that much about gambling. It's not a big part of my life. So what happens when those of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s are in our 70s, 80s, 90s and gone? And we're not going to Vegas very often or at all. Are we going to be able to replenish that group of gamblers? And the key there is you've got to get people hooked in the first place. And I fear that if Vegas continues to nickel and dime these first-time visitors, or first-in-a-long-time visitors, it'll be a long, long time before they come back. That's my thoughts on the topic. What do you think? I'm worried about the future of Las Vegas, not just because of various news events today or yesterday, but 20, 30 years down the line. What's it going to look like? Your thoughts are welcome. That's our news and commentary of the day. Now time for a quick Vegas tip. This week's Vegas tip of the week is actually a tip that I used in the Facebook group as the tip of the day. A lot of people, again, if you haven't been to Vegas in a while, may not realize just how much of a drain of energy the city can be. And I'm not talking about your energy, I'm talking about your phone, your camera, your tablets, whatever it is. There are so many, like with your phone, for example, there's so many dead spots for your cell signal. So many Wi-Fi hotspots out there. Your phone is just constantly trying to connect and disconnect and reconnect to these signals. In addition, you're typically using the phone more, whether it's just to be on social media or to do pictures or video. You can find very quickly that your completely charged phone is down to nothing. And they don't make replacement phone batteries much anymore. So you've got to decide, should I, stop, experiencing Vegas, taking these pictures, taking videos, or do I go back to my room, hide the phone, plug it in, not have it with me for several hours, or go back to the room and babysit it? Now, there are some places where you can actually charge your phone, but, the solution, possibly, for your phone, and even for other portable devices, is to grab something like this. It's a little block, it's a little battery charger. They have ones that are tiny little ones that look like a tube of lipstick. They have big ones that can start your car. You're probably going to want a backpack or a purse to carry those around. But typically they're good for a couple of full charges on your devices. And having one of these little power charging blocks can be a lifesaver and a time saver. It's nothing worse than having to just kill an hour or two in your room just to get your phone charged back up again. So don't let that be you. Obviously with your cameras, things like that, a lot of times you can get replacement batteries. I have a backup for my GoPro, for example. Definitely worth doing that. But if not, then one of these little charging blocks, and they're not that expensive, can be a lifesaver. That's our Vegas tip or trick of the week. Now, time for our Vegas resort, casino, hotel of the week. Let's talk about Ballys. We spoke about Ballys briefly a few weeks ago when we were discussing the MGM Grand, because that was the original name of the MGM of Ballys, was MGM Grand. It's been Ballys for quite some time now. And it is consistently one of my picks as best budget property on the Las Vegas Strip. It has a lot going for it, despite the $2 increase in resort fees. The first one is location. I mean, you are on the same corner as the Cromwell, Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, traditionally the sort of center of things in Las Vegas, Flamingo Boulevard and Las Vegas Boulevard. Best location you can have. And those other properties are significantly more expensive. Ballys will cost you half or less of what you would pay at any of those other three properties. And you still get that great location. In addition, you're connected to Paris by an internal walkway. And, you know, it is a little bit of a pain getting from your room through the Grand Bazaar shops out front, but there are some additional good restaurant and bar offerings in that shop, and it's better than the old people-moving walkway, which was down most of the time. A little tip, though, if you want to head north on the Strip, don't go that way. Sneak out the side of Bally's and cross the street at an actual pedestrian crossing, and you'll be right by Cromwell. You can go north from there. But there's a lot of reasons to want to stay at Bally's, and not just in the room. Bally's has a nice casino, a little more dated than some, but a good selection of games. It is a fairly highly ranked on my comfort scale, which basically means is it fairly spread out? So you're not crammed in to machines next to people constantly, many of whom might be smoking. I think it's got reasonably good ventilation, it's got reasonably good games, reasonably good drink service, so definitely not a bad place to hang out. And of course, if you do get tired of it, you have so many other options nearby. It is typically one of the cheaper options, and the rooms are very nice. I consider them very nice. Some people might not like them. They're bigger than the rooms that you would get at, say, Harrah's, Link, or Flamingo. And they're well appointed. I think the beds are comfortable. You get a little mini fridge. You can end up with some pretty good views. Now keep in mind that if you're a light sleeper or someone that likes to retire early in the evening, you might want to ask for a room that faces away from the Cromwell on one side or Paris on the other, because both have outdoor nightclubs that can get a bit noisy. But you can get some pretty impressive views from the tower. Whether you stay in the Jubilee or the Resort Tower, the rooms are very similar, and they're about 450 square feet, which is probably a good 100 square feet larger than the rooms at those other Caesars properties. There's a number of shows here. Of course, the old classic Jubilee show closed several years back, but upstairs in the window showroom there are a number of shows available, including one that I saw last year that I thought was really good called Paranormal. Always recommend it. And these are pretty reasonably priced shows if you just want to check something out and get away from the casino. The restaurant selection has gotten a little better very recently with the closing of the Hard Rock. Nobu has actually taken up residence at Bally's, at least for the rest of this year until Virgin America opens up. So that's a pretty high-end property. In addition, they have the BLT Steakhouse, which gets pretty good marks and is also home on Sunday of the Sterling Brunch, which is almost certainly the best buffet in Las Vegas, but of course far and away the most expensive. So lots of seafood, champagne, very popular, so definitely make reservations well in advance if you want to check that out. There's a Mexican place, there's a Thai place, there's snack bars, there's your food court, though you might miss it way back by the sports book. I like their sports book. It has kind of a nice feel to it. It's a big property, it's spread out, but as I say, I find it to be a pretty comfortable place to hang out and play, and a very convenient and comfortable place to stay. So definitely give Bally's a look if you haven't. And hey, tell me what you think if you've stayed at Bally's. I'm going to try to wrap this show up. It's been long enough, but remember, we'll be back on Wednesday at 8 o'clock with a live stream. Until then, everybody, hope that you have a great and lucky week. We will. See you soon.